For me, it's pretty common to have days when I don't want to run, but there are some days when I just don't wanna and I just want to be lazy, and there are some days when I really shouldn't run, when I'm nearing exhaustion or when I'm nearing burnout. But how do you know the difference? Here are some ways to tell the difference between I don't want to run and I really need to take a break. Filmed on the run. When did you decide that you didn't want to run? Here's what I mean by that. I used to work in the city and I would spend all day at the office wanting to run. On the bus home, I'd still be thinking about how much I wanted to run and thinking about what routes I could do. And then I would get home, open the door, and suddenly I would have a million things that I would rather do than go for that run. I wanted to run right up until the second that it was actually time to run. That is a sure sign that I was just being lazy. Ask yourself, what is it you want to do other than go for a run? If you realize you don't want to go for a run and instead you're fantasizing about sitting on your couch in sweatpants watching Netflix, chances are you're just being lazy and you should probably get out the door and run. Consider why it is you don't want to run. This can take a little bit of honesty and self-reflection, but it's not uncommon for not wanting to run to be fear or uncertainty in disguise. As you near completion of your goal, you might be committing a little bit of self-sabotage, whether that's due to fear of success or fear of failure or not wanting to lose a goal to focus on. Nearing completion of a goal can be a scary time, and not wanting to run can be a symptom of that fear. Consider how you feel about your final goal. Think about what it is you're trying to accomplish. Are you still excited about that goal? Does that goal still energize you? If so, you might just be feeling a little lazy right now. But if you consider that larger goal and it no longer inspires you, you might be nearing burnout, and it might be time to take a bigger picture look at what it is you're trying to accomplish and why. Is it just this run you don't want to do, or are you in a place where you consistently don't want to run? If it's just today's run that you don't want to do, or you just occasionally don't feel like running, you're probably just feeling a little bit lazy. But if you're in a place where you consistently don't want to run, days and days and days on end, you might want to review your goals and you might want to review your training plan. You might be overdoing it and you might be nearing burnout. So what do you do if you realize that you just don't want to run? Well, one thing you can do is to run anyway. There's no rule that says you have to want to do something to actually do something. So even though you don't want to run, go for the run anyway. One thing you can do on days when you really just don't want to run is not run. Give yourself the day off. Now, this can be a slippery slope. If you take one day off, it can be that much easier to take another day off later. So be careful not to indulge yourself too often, but some days it's just not worth the struggle. I have a designated turnaround spot about a half a mile away from my house. On days when I'm really not feeling like going for a run, I leave the house and get started anyway. If I get to that turnaround spot and I'm still not feeling it, I've given myself permission to turn around and go home guilt-free. I've had this turnaround spot for more than a decade. I've only turned around maybe a half dozen times over the years. Having a designated turnaround spot gets me over the hardest part of nearly every run, which is getting out the door. And by the time I get to that turnaround spot, I think, well, I've already started running, I might as well just keep going. If your I don't want to run is coming from a place of emotion, simply naming and acknowledging that emotion as fear or concern or worry or whatever else it is can go a long way to making you feel a whole lot better. If you're not feeling inspired to run today, take a moment to remember your why. Remember why it is you usually enjoy running. Remember why it is you're trying to accomplish the goal that you're working to accomplish. Take a moment and reconnect with what it is that's important to you about running.